Good evening, humans. Tyrannosaurusmoth here, and tonight we're taking a look at the Action Force Swarm Sentry figure from Valaverse. I've been loving the Action Force line, and I love the bad guys, so how badass is this figure? Well, let's talk about that. Let's do this. Aesthetically speaking, this figure is, in a word, striking. Essentially, it's just a repaint of the Swarm Trooper that we got earlier, and, you know, it's black and gold. I mean, but they just did such an effective job of it. The blacks are very, very much just like very deep and, you know, very stealth looking. And then our gold hues here are pretty much perfect. I love the level of metallic, like sheen to it. And yeah, just all the armor bits look very, very nice. It's just very nicely applied. It looks classy as hell. And yeah, can't say enough about that. I mean, obviously this is a buck we've seen before. The only mark against it I can think of, honestly, is just the knee joints, and they're a hard one to get. So as we can see, we're kind of more of a yellowy mustard sort of plastic here for the actual joint itself. The knee pad is painted. The backs of the knees are painted, but again, because the way they do the joints, you know, anywhere where you're getting the friction, the paint's going to come off anyway, so they couldn't have really done anything about that. So I mean, I wouldn't even consider that a mark against it, just a kind of unavoidable little piece that they have with that. But other than that, this figure looks incredible. And again, just striking. The black and gold works perfectly. I love the whole helmet. I mean, this is a very Toku looking design, and I am all about that. So yeah, just a beautiful, beautiful figure. We get a great load out of accessories, and once again, pretty much everything we saw with the Swarm Trooper. So let's take a look. And starting with hands, right out of the box, we get the trigger holding hands with the vertical hinge. Then we get a pair of fists. Then a pair of gripping hands with a horizontal hinge. Finally, a pair of cupping hands. Excellent all around. Then for weapons, we get this sort of pulse rifle looking weapon with some nice gold touches, definitely matches the armor. Beautiful details all around as well. Then we get a small tactical knife, beautiful detailing. The little bit of silver here on the blade totally helps it pop as well. And this fits onto a holster on the back of the figure itself. Then we get a sidearm. Once again, with that little bit of touch of gold just to kind of bring everything together. Looks awesome. And then finally, we get our requisite Action Force stand in that beautiful shade of metallic gold that we see on the figure itself. So that's accessories. Articulation is every bit as good as we have come to expect from Valaverse's Action Force, with a couple of tweaks just due to the nature of it being an armored character. So let's break that down with as we saw, can hold the freestanding kick, as pretty much every Valaverse figure can do that I have experienced. Our head is on our ball hinge, so we're getting all the way up, all the way down, and even a little bit of tilt there, which is fantastic. We do have our butterfly joints here at the shoulder, so we're getting around there. For the arm, we do have this armor piece, and it takes a little bit of work. You can get it to slide under. I got to work with it a bit here. I was worried I'm going to wrench it here. And you can get it under that piece. You do run the risk of kind of denting this top delt armor, so be careful. So you're gonna get anywhere from just below a T to a direct T, depends on how much you wanna push it. So be careful there. We do have our bicep swivel. We have double jointed elbows, bring us to there. We have hinge and swivel at the wrists. Again, vertical for our trigger hands, our weapon holding hands, and then horizontal on everything else. Then we get our ball joint at the diaphragm, ball joint at the waist. So we're coming all the way around. We get about that deep of a crunch, that much of an arch, and of course, plenty of side to side. Come down to the hips. We do have our drop downs, obscured slightly by these kind of garter pieces. And we can come out about that far, almost our complete splits. Again, that's more this kind of belt garter piece. So coming out to about there. We do have thigh swivel. We have double jointed knees folding completely in half. And then we come down, and we do not have a boot cut, but we do have a joint here in, as you can kind of see, it's the ball joint. It's kind of what Hasbro does with their Marvel Legends with the larger figures. So you're gonna get your rotation there, which would normally be up here. And again, because the armor we're not going to get perfect point, but we do get some nice point. We get some really nice forward because of the way they cut it, and you do get your rocker. So that's articulation. Getting into size comparisons, here he is with some other Valaverse figures. With some G.I. Joe Classified series. With some Hasbro and some Mattel. With some imports. With some monsters. Finally, with an articulated Icons Oni and yours truly in human form as a Valaverse Action Force figure. So my final thoughts on the Action Force Swarm Sentry figure from Valaverse is that this is indeed a badass figure. Again, more or less just, or more, not more or less, it's literally just a repaint of the Swarm Trooper from an earlier wave. However, that is definitely a good thing, as that was a great figure. Actually, I haven't even reviewed it yet as of me recording this video, but you know, I do have it, and that will happen later on. But in any event, absolutely recommend this. Again, just visually super striking, and yeah, just it's a great look. It's also Toku adjacent, aesthetically speaking, so I am all in for that. And yeah, if you know what Valaverse is all about, if you're curious about the line, I think this being an army builder is, you know, not a bad place to start. So this is, I think, available from a couple different places online, so wherever I can find links, I will put them in the description below if you are interested in picking this up. So all that being said, I hope you found this review informative and somewhat entertaining. If you did, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing, all that other fun stuff. And if you want to take it to the next level and help me even more, which I greatly appreciate, there'll be ways to do that listed at the bottom of the description as well. So thank you so much for listening, for watching, and for being here. And you know, all that being said, I'm here multiple times a week with various reviews of figures related to tokusatsu, dinosaurs, monsters, pro wrestling, and more. So yeah, please join me. And with all of that being said, I want to say I hope you take care of yourself, take care of those around you, and most importantly, stay weird, simians.